Ex-wife Pilar Sanders endorses Deion Sanders' ugly public spat from 90s in a surprising move. Prime time in the 1990s. A cultural earthquake. The 1990s were not just about football when it came to Deion Sanders. They were about prime time. With his electrifying play, golden chains, luxury cars, and sharp suits, Sanders became more than just a cornerback or a return specialist. He became a cultural icon. He blurred the lines between the NFL, hip-hop, and entertainment, becoming one of the few athletes of his era whose influence spilled well beyond the field. Nicknamed Prime Time, Deion wore the crown of charisma effortlessly. But that magnetism, paired with his unapologetic swagger, made him an easy target for critics. For every child who taped his poster to the bedroom wall, there was a sports pundit or rival ready to cut him down. And Deion, unlike most, never swallowed insults quietly. He clapped back, loudly, musically, and unapologetically. In the middle of that cultural storm was Pilar Sanders, his future wife at the time, who witnessed firsthand the unique burden and glittering spotlight that came with being tethered to prime time. What nobody expected, though, is that more than 2 decades later, and after a bitter divorce, Pilar would resurface to publicly endorse one of Deion's ugliest controversies from the 1990s. Spike Lee versus Prime Time. The seeds of Deion's beef in the early 90s were planted in the most public way possible. On January 16, 1990, filmmaker Spike Lee, himself a cultural tastemaker and voice of Black America at the time, took aim at Sanders for his flamboyant image. When Sanders landed on the cover of Sports Illustrated, dripping in jewelry and larger-than-life energy, Lee dismissed it with a sharp remark. "Who put that bum on the cover?" He wasn't finished. Lee ridiculed Sanders' chains and brashness, saying, "He's gonna get a knee injury in another 2 years, 20 pounds of gold around his neck. He's gonna be a bum on the street." For many athletes, such criticism from a figure like Lee might have been devastating. For Deion Sanders, it was fuel. Enter the diss track. Rather than quietly moving on, Sanders responded with a diss track. Yes, a football player at the height of his NFL career picked up a microphone and fired back in hip-hop style. Spike Lee dissing the Prime was ridiculous. For one you haven't met. But now you're on the TV screen. Tina check me. Sanders rapped, lacing his response with the same audacity he showed returning punts for touchdowns. The song wasn't just about Spike Lee. Deion widened his crosshairs. Sportscaster Tim McCarver, who once criticized him for showboating during games, was labeled the next victim. Next victim. Tiny Tim McCarver. "Those silly comments you making never bothered me. I got 2 paychecks." In one track, Sanders turned sports criticism into hip-hop theater, flipping the narrative and setting the tone for how he would handle public spats. Never with silence, always with spectacle. Pilar's unexpected endorsement. Fast forward more than 30 years. An Instagram creator, Ayo Adewaya Nigeria, pieced together archival videos of Deion's clashes from the 1990s, syncing them with Sanders' diss track, captioned, "Deion really does not let a single thing slide, loudly crying face." The video went viral among fans nostalgic for prime time in his peak era. But what made it truly surprising was who reshared it. Pilar Sanders. Pilar, who endured a very public and messy divorce from Deion in 2013, not only reposted the clip but appeared to endorse his unapologetic fire from the 90s. It wasn't just nostalgia. It was support. It sent a quiet but powerful message. Whatever bitterness may remain from their split, Pilar still recognizes the strength in the way Deion defended himself during the height of his fame. Life beside prime time. To understand why Pilar's support matters, one must rewind to her life with Sanders. The two married in 1999, when Deion was not just a Pro Bowl player but also a pop culture lightning rod. He was releasing a rap album, doing commercials, and living every bit of his primetime persona. But for Pilar, being an NFL wife wasn't as glamorous as the outsiders believed. The fame, the scrutiny, and the constant comparisons created a world of pressure. "I never fit in. I never fit in the whole NFL wife cliquey thing," Pilar later reflected. It was just like stank and clicky. I didn't fit into that stuff because I was all about my family. I was all about my children. To her, the social scene of NFL wives felt toxic, marked by cattiness, unspoken competition, and an endless cycle of comparison. There was just a lot of unspoken competition for absolutely no reason. And I just didn't put up with this. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't put up with it. And I'm not going to be about that life. Pilar, instead, poured herself into her children, Shiloh, Shadur, and Deandra, refusing to let the drama of NFL wife politics consume her. The baggage of fame, her honesty sheds light on something many fans miss. Being married to a superstar doesn't just mean living in luxury. It means surrendering privacy, shouldering judgment, and carrying baggage you didn't sign up for. Even after their divorce in 2013, Pilar admitted she couldn't escape the shadow of being tied to Deion Sanders' name. Even after 12 years following the divorce, I can't seem to shake off the NFL wife tag. It wasn't just about headlines. It was about walking into a room and being measured, not by her own worth, but by the reputation and fame of the man she had once been married to. Pilar finds strength among NFL moms. Yet, Pilar's story isn't only about rejection. Over the years, she has built meaningful connections with other NFL moms who understood the unique challenges of raising children in the spotlight of professional sports. The moms now that I know run into are very, congenial. They're very giving back and forth. We have real stories. We've lived real lives. It's different. This sense of solidarity has given Pilar strength. In contrast to the cattiness of the NFL wife world, the bond between NFL moms has been supportive, compassionate, and empowering. Through it, Pilar has carved her own identity, not as Deion's ex-wife, but as a proud, resilient mother of 3 children navigating their own athletic and personal journeys. Why her support matters. Given all of this history, Pilar's recent endorsement of Deion's 1990s controversies is layered with meaning. On one hand, it's surprising. Why support the man with whom she had such a bitter public split? On the other, it makes sense. Supporting his past doesn't necessarily mean reconciling in the present. Instead, it suggests Pilar sees value in how Deion stood up for himself, something she too has had to do throughout her life. By resharing that video, she wasn't just applauding the diss track. She was applauding the idea of refusing to be diminished, refusing to stay silent in the face of criticism. Coach Prime today. Of course, the Deion Sanders of 2025 is not the same Deion of 1990. Now known as Coach Prime, he has transitioned into college football coaching, rebuilding the Colorado Buffaloes program into a national phenomenon. His trademark swagger remains, but his platform has shifted. He is no longer clapping back through diss tracks. Instead, he delivers soundbites at press conferences and life lessons to young athletes. But the essence is the same. Whether in 1990 or 2025, Deion Sanders has never let anyone else dictate his worth. Pilar, by endorsing that attitude, reveals that even in separation, she respects the fire that once drew her to him. A complex legacy. The Sanders family, with Shadur now playing quarterback in the NFL and Shiloh fighting for a roster spot in Tampa Bay, continues to dominate headlines. Deion remains a figure whose life blends sports, culture, and spectacle in ways few others can match. For Pilar, her role has evolved. No longer defined by marriage, she has embraced her independence, her motherhood, and her own voice. But her surprising support for Deion's clapbacks from the 1990s proves that history is never neatly boxed. Sometimes, even decades later, respect lingers where love no longer exists. Conclusion: endorsement or empowerment? At first glance, Pilar Sanders resharing a video of Deion's 1990s beefs seems like an endorsement of her ex-husband. But it's more than that. It's a statement about resilience, self-defense, and unapologetic confidence. For a woman who once admitted she never fit into the toxic NFL wife world, who raised 3 children under the glare of the spotlight, and who has carried the baggage of fame long after the marriage ended, Pilar's move feels less about Deion and more about the principle of standing tall. Just like Prime Time refused to let anyone take shots without firing back, Pilar today refuses to let her narrative be written by anyone else. And that may be the most surprising and powerful endorsement of all.